Dear friends, as I mentioned that the present status of our education system is facing many challenges. No doubt that we all are product of this education system, but right now so many changes are expected at the global scenario, because the education right now is uh, not constrained to the four walls of the university, or even not constrained to the district, or not constrained to a state. Any student who is, say, studying in the remotest area of the say any state, and is a tribal area, remote village, he or she has the full uh, full uh, advantage or full flexibility of pursuing his studies throughout the globe, whether in any university in US or any university in Europe, right? So it means the main uh, focus has to be that how should be our curriculum should be designed so that we can incorporate whatever is required at the in the global scenario, because at the end of the day our students have to compete with the students those who are coming from, say, other countries of Asia or other countries of Africa or Europe. So this is the time when we have to think on these lines, that what new should be incorporated. So I'll be talking about NEP also in one of my sessions, uh, that what changes are to be brought based on the national education policy. But today, first of all, I want to begin with the output based education, right? The what is the concept, what is the OBE model, and what are the how to implement, or what are the key constituents. Because the main thing is not only understanding what the OBE is, main thing is how to implement it for the proper functioning of the institutes, right? So, and as I said, that some of you might already be aware about it, and many of you might be implementing it. But then, if such is the case, then I would really look forward to your inputs also and your experiences, so that it can be a collaborative kind of talk which will help those participants which are new to it, or which are in the process of implementing this OBE model, right? So, first thing is that for the last 75 years, if we talk about that after independence, so much of work has been done for the various education policies and for setting up of the various educational ecosystems, I would say, right? Because before independence, our education system was liberated totally by Britishers, or before that by the various invaders which we had. So lot of efforts had to be put in by the policymakers and by the authorities to come up with a good education system which would lay a foundation for our generations to come up to level of, or have a good literacy, right? So various steps have been taken, whether they may be in form of education policy in 1968, or further modification in policy of 1986. And after 1986, dear friends, no major change in any education policy was brought. There were minor changes, domain specific, that is, some changes were for the secondary education, some changes were for the technical, some for vocational. So, like separate silos were changed, but entire system was not changed. Okay, and this entire policy has now the new education or national education policy has come in 2020, which I'll be talking about. So it means for the last 75 years, no doubt, we have good students coming up, the students which are employable, and if we see the database, we have good number of uh, the employees in major IT companies of the world, whether it is Amazon, whether it is Infosys or Google or Apple or any IT, basically more or less more in the IT companies, we have our Indian students. In fact, I would like to share one of my experience. Just in 1 month back, I represented our country in one of the study mission in Singapore. And when I presented, and that was related to the education 4.0 in consonance with the industry 4.0. So when I presented my presentation, that what all is happening in India related to the digitization and IT knowledge, or IT, this education 4.0. So the first and the first,
Mute.
the first question which came from the other country participants was that they wanted to know that what are the contents, or what we Indians are teaching to our students, especially in the IT sector, that our students are excelling and shining in the major positions in the major companies of the world. So I felt so proud that we are known, or Indians are now known by the students or by the employees, those or the by engineers or IT professionals or any professionals who are working throughout the world. And the participants were from Malaysia, from Singapore, from Turkey, from Vietnam, all the East Asian countries were there. So they were asking about that what are the contents and how can we have your expertise to design that curriculum so that the students can compete at the global level. So what I want to say is that till in these 75 years or so, our education system was good, no doubt, but still, it was found that there are some deficiencies, there are some challenges or some limitations which we have in our present education system. I won't call it as traditional education because we have with us now NEP. So, but present education system has certain deficiencies, right? So anybody like some of them I have already mentioned, that we are more into the exam orientation, more into the our education system is more focused upon that what we are teaching, just, and how the student is evaluated, that is totally based on exam. The entire year or the one whole semester the student is putting up in the efforts and is understanding and learning, right? But if he is not able to perform in those 3 hours at the end of the semester or at the end of the year, then his technical or his cognitive capabilities are not considered up to the mark, because he was not able to perform in the exams, right? So this is found to be a lacuna from our system, in our system, that our education system is totally exam oriented. If I have a certificate with a 80% CGPA, I am a very intelligent student by default, right? Whether those 80% I have achieved by just ratifying and moggling up and then just writing it on the paper for those 3 hours, I'm intelligent. But I've not done anything for the entire year. Whereas any student who is very well versed with the conceptual knowledge, and he is very effectively he has learned throughout the semester, but somehow he was not able to perform in those 3 hours, he is considered to be, you know like he is not a good student, or there is a question mark on his intelligence, right? So this is one of the deficiency. Then very little attention is paid to the students thinking or creative knowledge. We are just putting in the knowledge, okay, this is what is this, what is that, how is this, only we are focusing upon that. We are not, you know, making our student think to a level where the student can analyze the thing or synthesize the things or create the things. That innovative knowledge or innovative critical thinking is absent in our education system, right? See, I believe in that okay, that assessment learns drives the learning. I'll talk about it later. So, and then another deficiency is that we do not lay any emphasis on the soft skills. Gone is the time when the companies used to hire the students who have good CGPA or good percentage of marks. You might have experienced in your colleges also that companies come. No doubt, the first criteria is sometimes the marks of the student, but more emphasis is now on his communication skills, his way of presentation, his way of discussion, how he is able to put forth his viewpoint, or how he's whether the student is ready to accept the challenges, right? What analytical capabilities the student has, how confident he has, what type of personality he possesses. So that type of soft skills, right up till now, we were not giving emphasis on that. They were not the part of the curriculum, right? If I say, can let me put a subject on the personality development, most of the teachers will say, oh, we have already short of number of hours or number of classes, and we are not able to teach them the technical subjects, and you are putting up a subject of soft skills. So many, there will be so much of argument while putting up a subject on the soft skills or interpersonal skills or communication skill whatsoever. But now is the time where the companies are looking more into these life skills or the soft skills rather than looking into uh, the the CGPA or the percentage of marks, right? So any other input I would like to have from the participants? Any other deficiency which the teachers or any one of you feel that the present education system has? You can unmute or raise your hand. I would really like to have your inputs. Anybody from the participants? Or should I call the name?
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Srinivas Rao. You can unmute, sir.
Yeah, madam.
Yes, sir.
There is a gap. I feel there is a gap between industry and academia. That gap should be fulfilled, madam, along with the soft skills.
Yeah, very right. Very right, sir. There is a huge gap between the industry and the academia. Yes, I'll talk about this also. Yeah, because industry people, what we are teaching, what we are teaching that industry does not want sometimes to that extent, or what industry wants from our students, we are not incorporating in our curriculum. This is the main thing. We are just our curriculum is basically, or our teaching is more into the student centered. That okay, what we have to teach, what is required from any subject. If I take suppose simple basic electronics, because I am from electronics and communication engineering background, so we are not focusing upon the what industry requirement is. If our student wants to go, like, soft skill is one part, yes, technical knowledge also, or the practical knowledge also, which is required by an employer, has to be incorporated in our teaching. We are more focused into the only the theoretical concepts, whereas the requirement of the industry is that how to do, like what hands-on practice the student has. Yes, yes, Dr. Vikas Singhal ji. Hanji.
Yeah, very good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm happy to have your slides. First of all, thank you so much for giving the insight of the requirement of the today's education. But
Thank
what after listening, your keywords, kind keywords, my submission is that if the Ministry of Education could work on this, because the universities are not getting the proper guidelines to have their proper BOS changes in the syllabus. Because we are only inside, we have very limited time for the students to complete the syllabus also. So we also feel the same thing that when we talk about the soft skills also, although we have some lectures or tutorials for the students, but the students always have a heavy mind that we need to cover first 5 or 6 chapters along with the labs. So no
Yeah.
doubt that they are totally inclined towards industry. Academic gap is always there, and the industry is also looking after the students who have not exactly the requirement or the fulfillment of the languages or the hardware that we what you all people teach, but they also look around ki how they can rightly fit into their industry and they can serve their clients, right? So we are missing to the extent possible that the syllabus should be corely designed from the university of that level, that out of 5 units, at least some syllabus should be declined, and obviously some subjects like soft skills and others should be incorporated in the industry, in the universities itself. So the every institute or the small colleges or the private institutes can really put some efforts, and the students will also feel that they have some marks for the university level. So
I
that's my
totally,
submission. That's my
yeah,
submission, ma'am.
I totally agree with you, sir.
जी
And
मैम.
like two things which you have raised. First thing is that some input should be given at the university level or from the authorities of Ministry of Education. So, like, if you have gone through the national education policy, sir, there, like, we are also in the process of framing the curriculum based on this multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary approach.
Right.
So the, yeah, so we are
बदर
uh,
इधर आ.
Madam Lajvanti, can you please mute yourself? Thank you. So there we are trying to, we have designed also, in fact, when I'll be talking about NEP, I'll show you that how we have come up with the uh, curriculum or the syllabus, which is blend of the technical knowledge, the applied sciences knowledge, along with this soft skills, right? Soft skills, or you may call any life skills which are required. See, now the company, when you're saying the company, earlier the job IT companies were looking forward to the students or technical graduates which were from IT or CSE or from ECE and all. But
Absolutely.
now what they are doing, they are even taking the civil students, even taking biotech students, chemical students, because they say, like when we interact with the TPOs, or we interact with the persons, those who come for the HR people, those who come to take the students or for the job, then they say that we are looking towards that if a student is an engineer or he has done a 3 year or 4 year diploma or degree course, he has that competency, right? So we look now more towards his attitude, his aptitude towards learning, and the skills जो उनको कराना है. If they want to make them do a specific job, they train them for 6 years, 6 months. That is why they take that internship for 6 months, for teaching them what the specific job they want to do from the students. So they look more towards the skills or the attitude that the student is ready to adapt, or the student has the capability to change, or the capability to get the information or knowledge. So that is why this soft skills is now required. And not only these soft skills, I don't know how many of you, those who are from engineering colleges, they might have got the from AICT now the knowledge of Indian system, the universal human values, because education, now
We
the
have,
time
ma'am.
is
We have.
gone that we were only looking towards giving the teaching the students. Now we are more into the education, and education is not only, like, we are not teachers now, we are educators, because education is not only giving the knowledge
Absolutely.
content is available in the internet so much. Whatever we are teaching in the classroom or whatever we are giving to the students, More than that, more than 100 times available, it is available on the internet.
Hmm.
But it is how we are giving, how we are making them understand, and what extra qualities we are putting in, or what practical knowledge we are giving in, along with what are we are making a student a good human being also, a good citizen also, that he might be a 80% scorer in electronics or in computer science, but he is not a good communicator, or he is not a good citizen. He is not, while walking on the road, he is throwing the annual, the anything like any on the road, or he's not taking care of his community or environment. So all these things have to be incorporated into the education system now. So that is why this policy which is coming up, that will take care. And yes, I agree that some guidelines should be there, and that will be there, in which certain weightage will be given to the technical knowledge which is to be imparted to the students, and some weightage will be given to this skills part, that is curricular or extracurricular part, and some weightage will be given to the multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary also. Now, again, the same line which I would like to add, the education has to cross the boundaries. And now I do not call it multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary, I call it cross-disciplinary. So any student who is into, maybe into a BA, doing a BA geography or BCom or BTech or diploma, he or she can have the flexibility or choice of learning beyond the syllabus also. I'm interested in knowing about some laws. I'm interested in knowing about, say, music, or I am interested in knowing about some data science or programming. Then the student should have that flexibility. So I'll talk about in detail about that aspect of that, how to incorporate these things along with the technical knowledge, or with the core contents, right? So thank you so much, Vikas sir. So
Thank
uh,
you, man.
yeah, so coming back to OBE, so basically right now, if I talk about, and if I take the inputs from other participants also, it's, we might say that there are so many lacunas in the present education system. But first and the foremost is that we are right now, we are focusing upon that what we are teaching, it is totally teacher centric based. That I want, this is the, like, if you are a teacher, okay, presentation mode if you want, right? Is it okay now? Presentation mode, okay. So actually, right now it is totally teacher centric. That if you are affiliated from a university, or any autonomous college also, what the teachers have, the teachers are given the curriculum, that this is the contents which you have to teach. These are the reference books which you have to follow. This is the assessment method or assessment technique. There will be two sessionals, there will be one final exam, you have to take assignment, you have to take quizzes. So the how you are evaluating, that is also pre-decided. So there is no flexibility provided to the teachers, and it is not seen that what students are expecting, what students want to learn, or what we are teaching, are we able to give it to the students? So the now this OBE focuses upon that our education system and our way of teaching, our way of assessing should be focused upon the student centric. It should be totally student centric, that what the student wants to learn, how the student wants to learn, how the students wants to understand, right? So that is why this online digital mode is playing part. That if I do not want to learn sitting in the classroom, and I have a facility of attending the same program or same class, suppose I am taking a class on, say advanced image processing, but the student thinks that I'm not able to understand what Meenakshi ma'am is teaching, or I'm not very happy with it, with her effective way of teaching, but I have the flexibility of attending an online same course by some professor of other institute, so I can go and learn there. So by and by, our education system is already moved, but it is more moving towards the student centric approach. What the student wants to learn. It's not only that if a student wants to learn computer science engineering, but along with it, he wants to have some flair of, say, photography, or he wants to learn about artificial intelligence, or he wants to know something about drone technology. So our curriculum has to incorporate all these changes, that along with a degree of computer science, if a student wants to learn about robotics, if a student wants to learn about legal, or he wants to learn about some entrepreneurship, so our curriculum has to be designed in such a way that the student gets the flexibility of learning in all these things. So it has to be student learning. What outcomes the student is expected to have. If I'm teaching a subject, if I'm teaching a basic subject of, say, applied physics, it should not be, the content should not be that what I want to teach. The content should be oriented towards that what outcome is expected from the student after taking this subject. So if I'm taking this, if one this STC, if you people are attending, so it's not that what I want to teach, I have to design the contents of my STC, keeping in mind that what outcomes I am expecting from the faculty or from the participants of this STC course. That when they go after 5 day course, what should they have in their minds, or what should they have in their hands, so that they can implement it. Similarly is the case with the contents. And third point is assessment. As I said, assessment should not be fixed. It should be given, the flexibility should be given to the teacher. If I think that my subject, say digital electronics, if I think that a student should have hands-on, or say AutoCAD or C programming, or any software or related subject, if a teacher is teaching, then what is the use of taking or assessing a student by the a theory exam? It would be better if we take a practical exam and we check the student's competency based on his on the hands-on or the practical knowledge, right? So how to assess the student should also be taken care while designing the curriculum. That if I want to teach a subject, say of say management subject, right? So I should assess the students by, say, giving them some case studies, right? By some other techniques, not only by the 3 hours program. Okay, so I have to just give me a second. Yeah. So the curriculum has to be not only curriculum, way of teaching, way of handling, way of assessing the student, has to be student centric, right? It is a very light joke that if you see this boy tells that I taught this dog how to whistle, right? These two are teachers, and this is someone which whom we are handling. So he says that I taught him to whistle. The other one says, but I don't hear him whistling. So the teacher says, okay, I said I taught him. I never said that he learned it. So this is the thing we have to move from, that we have not to focus upon that what we are teaching, teach, give the knowledge, give the information. We have to now see that whether the student or the person who is on the other side, whether he is able to absorb all this or not. So this is what we are looking towards, that is our present education system is output based. We are giving the inputs in form of the faculty knowledge, infrastructure, labs, resources, right? Everything we are giving to the system. Earlier it was output based, that okay, these many number of students pass. If you remember, the senior members might remember this, that earlier it was the result was also taken in the sense that how many students passed, these many students passed, these many students failed, these many compartment, because it was output based. We were not looking into that if these how many students have passed with these outcomes, how many students have passed with these outputs. So that was the only the success rate was measured, or it was just the quantitative measurement. That we have to change from the output to the outcome based education system, in which the no doubt the input is still the same, the teaching staff, the curriculum, the labs, the resources, right? But now the process, input and output are still the same, but the process of moving from input to the output has to be taken care of. And at the output also, we have to not only focus upon the numbers, not the quantity or the number game, we have to go into the quality part also. That whatever we are teaching, whatever we are getting output, whether it is outcome, what outcomes we are expecting from it. And not only about the students, but now this education policy look towards the all the stakeholders. So when we are talking about the stakeholders of any educational institutes, it is not only the students we are bothered about. It is now we are also looking towards the even the staff, even the secretarial staff, the employers, the industry, those who are absorbing those students, the parents, those who are sending, those who are spending money and sending their wards to teach, the alumni, the students obviously, then the community itself. So all these stakeholders, the how the what outcomes are expected, which would satisfy all these stakeholders, that has to be taken care while talking about the outcome based education. So it means whatever we are teaching them, how we are teaching them, that has to satisfy, justify the stakeholders satisfaction, right? So this is the main uh, difference between the what the we used to have earlier, that is the based education, and what we have presently, that is the outcome based education. So if I see, outcome based education basically has three main domains: the knowledge, skill, and attitude. And if we talk about the present system, again, I would say earlier the more focus was on knowledge, right? Obviously, knowledge has to be there. Then time came when the focus was given on the skill, that only knowledge will not suffice. The student or the yeah, the outcome or the output student should have the skill also along with it. Now it is the era of attitude. You can provide the knowledge, and knowledge is already so much there in the books or the internet. You can make a student skillful, but if the student does not have any attitude, whether you give knowledge, whether you give skill, whether you give time, whether whatever you do, if the student does not have an attitude to absorb or to get this, you cannot do anything, or nothing will be some constructive which will come out of your efforts when you are providing the knowledge or the skill, right? And if you see, so knowledge and skill process, if combined, the knowledge, skill, and attitude will make the student able and committed with a purpose and some process which he can follow, right? So this is session में ठीक, right? So outcome based education process involves three main things. First is restructuring of curriculum, again the part that what we are going to teach, how we are going to teach, right? Then assessment, how we are going to assess, and reporting practices. What practices have to be adopted to reflect the achievement of higher order learning and mastery rather than accumulation of the credits. Same story, that we have to move from that bent of mind that the education or intelligence or the cognitive capabilities have to be just marked by the number of the percentage or the CGP which you have acquired, right? So basically
Okay.
the we have to start, if I say about the outcome based education, then we have to organize the curriculum, we have to change our delivery method pedagogy, the way how to teach, that is the various pedagogical approaches which we have to employ, and various assessment to make sure that learning happens, right? And then how do we know that all these efforts which we are putting up or the various pedagogical approaches which we are applying is helping our students to achieve something or not? So every outcome which we are expecting should be a measurable outcome, which can we can measure that okay, uh, we added this portion of the curriculum, from this one outcome was expected, and whether we were able to achieve that outcome or not. And we have to quantify it so that we can see that whether we are able to measure or whether we are able to achieve the changes or achieve the output because of the changes which were incorporated in the curriculum, right? So OBE basically it focuses on student learning. As I said, from teacher centering, this education system has moved to the student learning. So how it focuses, that is, we want to know that what student has learned or what the student has understood. So to know that, we have to frame the learning outcome statements. So as I said, all those who are already have the NBA and NAC with them, they might have worked upon it. So we call them at learning outcome statements or course outcomes. That is, whatever we are teaching, whatever the contents we are putting, whatever subjects, so if it is a 6 semester course or 8 semester course, whatever subjects we are incorporating, and in that subject what contents we are incorporating, that should be in consonance with what is the course outcome. That is, after completing that course, what outcome is expected from the student, that he should be able to understand, or he should be able to apply the knowledge, or he should be able to analyze some information. So what outcome is expected, that is to be focused, right? Then uh, assessment, again same assessment criteria also. So basically, OBE addresses what we want our students, how we can help our students to achieve, and how we will know whether the students have achieved or not. So this part, we will say that, okay, we were doing earlier also. In our previous education or the present education system also, we are doing the same thing. But OBE also focuses upon continuous quality improvement. That is the underlying statement. Because otherwise, earlier what we used to have, the student come, we teach, we okay, student gets the job or goes for the higher study, it's okay, gone. For us, the number, the roll number, this qualified and gone with the job. But OBE addresses the issue of the continuous quality. He will track the student even after 5 years, and that is in terms of PEO, which I'll talk about. And not only tracking the individual student, but also looking towards the efforts which have to be put, or how the quality of the system has to be maintained and improved. So when I say the quality of the system, it means not only the quality of the student, but the quality of the faculty also, the quality of the institute as a whole, the quality of the system as a whole, that has also to be catered by the uh, this I will come, right? So why we have to move in, again, the curriculum should be coherent, with the coherent with what? Coherent with what is the global requirement. If or going global requirement is a far story, but first we have to see what is the requirement at the in the industry, what is the local requirement where our students are being absorbed, what is the requirement in the society for our students, those who are doing that particular course or that particular degree. So the curriculum has to be coherent with all these requirements of the society, of the employer, of the then the as a country or the global requirement, right? So graduates have to be more relevant to industry, as I said, and other stakeholders. And it has to be the continuous quality improvement is inevitable consequence. I'll show you how. So before, first I will come directly to, then I can come here. Wait. Yeah. So this is the model of OBE. If we understand this, then the entire concept of the or the framework of OBE can be understood. So as I mentioned in my previous just now, that basically the out first thing is outcome based, second thing is outcome which is measurable, and third thing is the outcome which can lead to the continuous improvement. This is the crux statements for the OBE. So first thing is outcomes. So outcomes are at various levels. First outcome, if I say, if I begin from the down, as I mentioned, that what outcomes is expected from the student after every course. One semester, in one semester, if we are having 6 subjects, then if the student is learning that one subject, right, even basic communication skills, so if he is studying communication skills, what outcomes are expected from the students after learning the subject of or undergoing the subject of communication skills? So those are called the course outcomes or learning outcomes. So every course, every subject which we are teaching to the student has to be uh, notified or noted in terms of the course outcomes, that after undergoing this subject, the student will be able to, you have the 4 to 6 number of the course outcomes, again which have to be measurable. They, we can measure them, we can quantify them. Okay, why? I'll come to that. Then we have the program outcome. So if a student is going for a BTech in computer science and engineering, or he's going for a say history honors, or he's going for economics honors, then what outcomes are expected after completing the program? So if he's doing a BTech in computer science, so it means he should be able to be placed in a good company. He should be capable of going into higher for his higher education. He should be able to contribute to the societal needs. He should be able to move in the direction of research to cater to the various issues and various problems. He should be ethically strong, right? And turn out to be a good, truly citizen. Okay, so these are the various outcomes which we can think of after a student completes a program. So they're called the program of outcomes. Then, as I mentioned, the OB does not only cater to that up to that level. Okay, the student has completed the degree and he is gone. No, the OB look towards the program educational objectives, that even after 5 years of completing his degree, what the students is expected, a student is expected, that is, if he gets a job, is he after 5 years, is he still in that job at the same level, or he has grown, whether he is acquired the same degree or he has moved for acquiring higher education, what skills, how his personality has developed, what confidence level he has developed, whether he has started, how entrepreneur or innovative he is. So even after the completion of a program, the 5 years of the student's journey from completion till his efficiency or proficiency in his profession is checked by OBE. So that is called the program educational objectives. And then at the large, we have the mission or the vision of the program or of the university. See, every college, every university, or every department has a vision statement, right? A vision statement which long statement say of 10 years or 20 years, that where we expect our institute or our department to be. That is our vision statement. And what steps we take to achieve that vision statement is the various mission statements. I'll talk about those also. So all the subjects which we are teaching, all the programs which we are indulging in, all the students which we are taking, all the faculty which we are adding, they are all moving in the direction to achieve that vision statement, right? So it means everything starting from whether it is course outcomes, the students, the infrastructure, the staff, the faculty, building, everything is moving in the direction to achieve the vision, right? So all these should be in tune. This course outcome should also be related to program outcomes should be related to program educational objectives, and program educational objectives should be related to the mission or the vision statement. So this is the planning part. What outcomes we are expecting or what we look forward to when we are designing any course or when we are designing any program, right? So this is the very first module of the OBE model. Then we next step is do. It is a PDCA cycle, we call it: plan, do, check, and act. So next step is doing. So it means whatever we are expecting, now what steps we have to take to achieve this. So it means what, first of all, again, the same story. What contents have to be taught? If I want that my student should get a job in a very good institute with good personality and good communication skills, so it means I should teach him one subject on personality development, one subject on contents, communication skills, some subjects on the latest because he want to go into industry, so he should have hands-on skill more emphatically, or he should have knowledge about those subjects which are requirement of the present industry, right? So now you see, like, whether a student is from mechanical engineering, from electrical, civil, any domain, but the knowledge of artificial intelligence, machine learning, IoT, these are certain courses which are irrespective of any domain, every student should know. The Python language, whether you are from any domain, any field, if you have the knowledge or of the Python, then you can have the you can work in any field, right? So the syllabus or the courses are designed in such a way. This is the proper way actually, right? Otherwise, some of the autonomous colleges, what they do, private colleges, take out IIT, take out NIT syllabus, take out IIT, take out some central universities, club them, put them, or take a book, take its main chapters, and from this frame the contents. No, all these aspects have to be taken care of. What program outcomes, what course outcomes, what is the requirement at the industry, what are the employability skills which are required. Keeping all those in mind, then the course should be designed, which is that what we are following in our institute for the various colleges. Anyway, so first one is course, then is the pedagogies, how we are teaching, right? Gone is the time for the blackboard teaching, that okay, the teacher comes and teaches, professor just professes, right? Now it is not that. Whether we have to we have to see that the students or the learning will be better by teaching on the board. Say if you are doing the mathematics part, obviously you have to solve the issue problems or make them right, make the students right to make it more, so that they learn it more effectively. Or you have a subject which requires practice, like C programming or any programming, any AutoCAD or any MATLAB, where writing on the board will not help the students to learn, but on the practical or in the lab or in the so if I say like civil engineering department, if you want to make them do survey, can you make them do in the classroom? No. So every subject, what type of pedagogy is required should be dependent upon what contents you are teaching, whether you are making the students more into the knowledge or more into the skill or more into the aptitude, right? Then assessment, again, how you are assessing. If you are assessing a student in C++ by making him write the theory, it's not required, right? Experiential learning has to be done. How you have to assess the student, whether that is why we go for the formative assessment. That is, we are assessing the student for the entire semester, and not only by the quiz or assignment, by the seminars, by the presentations, right? So that that assessment will not only uh, deal with the knowledge content of the student, but also his overall personality. If you are asking a student to give a seminar, so knowledge he will add, right? But he will also add to the his confidence level facing his classmates. If you're asking the questions, right, again the knowledge is there, his way of presentation, his way of communication, body language, everything will be assessed if you assess by just asking a student to present or giving a seminar. So this is what we have to do for achieving these outcomes, right? And then comes the assessment. Again, what we have planned here, now we have to check whether what we have taught are the students or what course outcomes we were expecting. Do we have we achieved by checking the course outcomes? Then what program outcomes? Again, we check whatever we have taught and whatever how we have assessed. Are we able to achieve those outcomes? Are we able to achieve the vision and mission statement? So this is the checking part. So plan, do, and check. So we are doing all these things. Now comes the beauty of OBE. That is, now we are seeing, or we have to act upon whether what we have planned and what we have achieved, are they in consonance or there is a disparity? If there is a disparity, then we have to act and we have to find where the what is the cause of that disparity. Whether we have we are very over, or we have been thoughtful in framing these course outcomes, or we have been very over ambitious in framing these outcomes, or there was some lacuna in teaching style, or in what we have framed as the course contents that was much more than what uh, the level of the students, or whether we are not assessing them properly. So main thing is that we have to find out that what we have planned, whether we have achieved that or not, and if not, then corrective measures have to be taken to achieve, to bridge that gap between the planning and the achievement. And that is the actually part of the improvement. That is why we call it as the course. Let me show you if I have that. Yeah, right. So that is actually the continuous quality assessment which I was talking about. I'll just show you that slide before I come to. Yeah. So basically, you have the course outcomes, you have the program outcomes, program objectives, and which are framed keeping in mind all the stakeholders, right? And then you at every level, the course outcomes which were framed, you are assessing and analyzing. If there is discrepancy, then you are changing, or you are taking some steps, taking some corrective measures so that the course outcomes can be achieved. Similarly for the program outcomes, similarly for the program objectives, It means, so this is how the continuous quality improvement is achieved by the uh, by checking and that what we have framed and what we have achieved. So basically, this is the model of OBE which has to be implemented, and if judiciously implemented, it gives wonderful results, and wonder it does, right? So, what steps are to be taken or how it has to be implemented? This is first, define the course outcomes. So it is together, define or revise. So continuous quality. So define or revise the course outcomes. Then design or modify the curriculum to ensure that the learning outcomes are achieved, right? Then align them properly with the curriculum mapping. Then program, check program, whether program outcomes have been assessed or not, or properly flow, taken or not. Then benchmarking. So this is what we are looking forward towards, this part, that benchmarking means the quality assurance. Some, whether what we are doing, who is going to uh, or stamp that yes, you are in the right direction. So okay, getting good job placement, increase in job placement, increase in the students getting admission into your program, that may be one or two benchmarks. But the external agencies which the government is placing, that is NBA, NAC, NIRF, they are the basically the external bodies which will benchmark by checking whether whatever changes you are doing at the course or program or the POs, that is uh, going in the right direction or not. And that is why the accreditation policy is becoming so strong for in our education system. And then follow up actions, this is more very important. Those who have gone through NAC, they might be having IQAC cell, and they might be putting that AQAR every year. That is, AQR is what? AQR is that quality assurance report, annual, what you are doing, right? So basically it is the, this OBE has this is the framework of the OBE. The details of this will be covered in the second half of session by Professor Grover. The various, how to frame course outcomes, how to frame POs, and how to evaluate. Okay, so with this I will bring to an end this session, because okay, one more thing is okay, one or two slides I can take. So when we talk about OBE, so as I already now talked about that, this OBE will include the outcome based curriculum also, outcome based learning teaching techniques, and outcome based assessment. Okay, so with this I will bring my presentation here, and the rest of the that how the course outcomes, program outcomes, how they have to be uh, improved or how they have to be checked, that will be taken care by in the second half. So I'm open to the questions if the participants have. Yeah, any questions the participants may would like to ask? I feel that, yeah, any questions any participant have right now, you can put it in the chat box. Okay, if no questions or queries are there, then we'll stop here for the lunch part, and we meet at 2:30 for our next session. So I would request all the participants to be in time. We'll start sharp at 2:30. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Dr. Srinivas. Yes, sir.
Madam, your very nice presentation.
Thank you, sir.
I have some queries.
Yes, sir.
So, madam, as you said in the OBE, the last step for the PEOs, is there any mechanism to get the continuous follow-up after 5 years of the graduation? Because nowadays it is very difficult to track the students.
Sir, for that, I would suggest that you have a good, strong alumni network, because once the student leave the institute, no doubt some of the students will be very cordial to maintain the relationship and send the data back to their parent institute, but sometimes the student does not do that. So if you have a good alumni uh, section in or in your institute, which can keep track and keep on continuously sending the emails to them, or keep a track of the, like, if in LinkedIn, if the students are there, then only you can just track the students after 5 years. Or when the student is going for gate or GRE, then when he is in the third year or final year and appearing for gate or GRE, when he is taking the signatures of the HOD, because that form has to be uploaded after the duly signed by the head of the department, you can keep the form copy of those forms, and then note their roll numbers and check whether they have gone for the gate exam or not or so. But the main thing is communication with the students, and which cannot be done, say, in central level. But then one another way is to ask the especially for technical institutes, the faculty members, those who are taking, those who are the project guides of their students. So more or less the students are closer and they remain in touch with their project guides. So if you assign the students to that particular guide, that you have to impart or you have to provide us the information about these students to that project guide, then you will get more information as compared to if you give this work to some secretarial staff or to some specific teacher.
Thank you, madam. Can you elaborate something about experiential learning?
Uh, yes, sir. Experiential learning is basically okay. Like, you are making the students learn or understand the concepts based on the experiences. If I talk about the, say, even the visit to some industry, or even by case studies, giving them, there are so many ways which we can go for the experiential learning. So uh, like, you give the case studies to them, you make them do the project parts, like major project or minor project is there, but for every practical or every lab you may give them some mini projects or micro projects, so the student will have an exposure, and the student will have an hands on, and he will see that what problem he gets, and he will learn from the experiences. So every lab, part of lab or assessment, lab assessment can include a small micro or mini project. That can be for technical part. For management, you can have the case studies, or for like some surveys can be done for other part, that type of learning.
Thank you, madam.
Okay, so no other questions. So thank you so very much. And we break here for the afternoon lunch, and we meet at 2:30 p.m. at the same link. Thank you so much.